Hey, live on a Sunday here, Week 13 NFL action right here on Bookmakers Review. I'm Donnie RightSide. He's Kyle Purviance. Next half hour, we are going to cover the card and go over exactly what you need to know, whether there's injury information, what side, some totals, but also keep in mind who's in and who's out. It's Sunday. We're ready to go. Good morning, Kyle.
It's absolutely insane that we're 20 days away from Christmas. This year's weird. It's weird as shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And it's colder than hell out here. So, yes, we're going to have a drink today. I used to have the mimosas every Sunday. We're going to go with the tea. There's an old saying, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. Well, we're doing that out here on the freezing West Coast. A couple totals I like, a side I like. I will say it's a tough card. A lot of interesting stuff, weird stuff going on. But I'm ready to rock and roll. And, of course, happy to be here. Thank you to everyone in the chat box for joining us.
Yes, let's have some fun today and get after it. And there's a lot of odds boosts. I'm on a ton of prop bets today, but we're going to hit the entire card, Kyle. Let's not waste any more time. But before we do that, if you are watching on YouTube, which I'm technically watching on my computer screen through YouTube, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on when Kyle and myself go live to talk football. You can come in the chat box and say hello here. So 2,890 subscribers every day. That's getting higher and higher. We will build this thing into a machine. If you're watching here live through our Twitter page, give it a follow there at BMR Reviews. Let's go. Let's have some fun, and let's get into this card today. 451, 452, 1 o'clock action here. The Minnesota Vikings take the show on the road to play the lowly Detroit Lions. And I got to tell you, Detroit Lions have been in a couple games, and they haven't had a win yet, Kyle, but it seems like the gambling gods and the NFL gods are smiling down on them because everybody they play is devastated with injuries, and yet they still can't come up with a victory. Today, that line sits 7 across the board and a total of 47.5. Just about everybody outside of Harrison Smith is missing on defense today for the Minnesota Vikings. Also, Dalvin Cook on the offensive side of the ball, one of the more explosive running backs in the game. He is not playing. So Madison's going to pick up the slack there. You still have Kirk Cousins having a sensational regular season here and 2 legitimate wide receivers. And it just comes down to me, Kyle. It's how many times do we say, like, if your defense stinks, you still need to have an offense that has a chance to take advantage of a bad defense. Detroit is so not talented that I don't even know that 5-6 starters are out on the Minnesota defense, if it even matters.
I mean, so the Lions are getting exactly what they asked for, right? They have an incompetent GM who got rid of all their talented players and decided, hey, we're going to go make a trade for Jared Goff. We're going to hire a rah-rah guy in Dan Campbell. Have you ever sat around and go, you know what? I think Dan Campbell is going to have the best game plan in the league today. No, he's not a game plan guy. He's a rah-rah guy. So he gets into the interview. He tells him, I'm going to make my team fight hard. We care. It's integrity. All this nonsense that doesn't matter at all in the NFL. I mean, you want a little integrity, but you know what I mean here. And that's what you get, a scrappy team that can't win, not a high IQ team. They turn the ball over all the time on scoring possessions. I did take the Vikings team total here. I do think they get to 27 points. That Detroit offense, I don't give a damn who's running the ball for the Vikings. If it's Madison, if it's Mike Boone, if it's Amir Abdullah from 2 years ago, it does not matter. You're going to run the ball on this team. 2 outstanding wide receivers on the outside in a controlled environment in December. I think the Vikings get over 26.5 points. That's over at BetMGM. It's minus 135. I think it's live. Are they going to need 27 points to win? Probably not, but they're going to get close to that in the first half. This Lions defense can't stop anyone. If you're looking for a one-game parlay, neither one of these defensive fronts are good at stopping the run. Jamal Williams is going to fill in for an injured DeAndre Swift. Alexander Madison's going to fill in for an injured Dalvin Cook. If each running back gets more than 75 or more yards, you get that at plus 475, nearly 5-1. I think that's a decent one-game parlay as well.
Yeah, they should score in this game. They really should. And Kyle and I were talking here before we actually went live on the air. It's like, man, this is one of those weeks that you probably should be looking like toward a Detroit total because they should be throwing the kitchen sink at these type of teams. Like, what do you have to lose? But then again, when Jared Goff refuses to throw the football over 5 yards, it's like, what's the game plan out here for Detroit? And then you take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, that team total at a 20. It's like, come on, man. Like, you're just trying to bait you into something. Now, should Detroit actually get the cover here? They probably should. But at the same time, if your offense just sucks, like, you can't back a team like that. Like, if 14 points is what your goal is, how do you back anybody, Kyle, like that?
You can't back the Lions because they can't stop the run. So you'd never back team that can't stop the run. We're going to talk about that later with the Chargers as well. They turn the ball over too many times in the red zone. Dan Campbell acts like a crazy person and goes for it on 4th down from his own 30-yard line. You're going to back them to cover. There's so many ways that the Vikings could cover this. I would not pick a side here. It's too dangerous for me. I don't necessarily trust Kirk Cousins on the road all that much. But I do think the Vikings get to 27 points. Can the Lions get to 20? Sure they can. That Vikings defense is beat up, but you just can't trust them. I'm not messing with the side here. Divisional game, a weird line at -7. You don't want to touch that. Just take the Vikings team total, let it ride. You can get reduced team totals -165 over, 24.5 or 23.5. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'll take the better number at -135, I believe it is, over 26.5.
All right, let's get after here. Next game up in the windy city of Chicago, 4:53, 4:54, Arizona, Chicago. Kyler Murray is going to get the start today. Wasn't even sure if he was going to start. Now, this is an interesting one here because Arizona is the better football team. But you have a guy with a hamstring injury in DeAndre Hopkins. You know what he's going to play in today, Kyle? 40-degree weather and rain on grass. I don't know the recipe for success, what that's actually going to be. Now, also take a look at Kyler Murray, who was iffy the entire week to play on a bad ankle. In cold weather, on grass, and in the rain. I don't know if this is a recipe for success here for Arizona. Should they win the game? Absolutely. They're more talented with those guys in the lineup. Andy Dalton's going to be the quarterback here for Chicago, which, again, early in the week, I did take the Chicago Bears at 7.5, and I like them here. Not per se to win the game, but the only thing I was actually worried about, Kyle, is if they would make the move back to Justin Fields, and then all bets would have been off. But I think Andy Dalton can be competent enough. David Montgomery can have a decent enough game on the ground where maybe it's a lower scoring game overall as it sits at a 42.5. But I took the Bears with the points today.
Yeah, and look, Chicago, Soldier Field. How many times have we seen this record? Let me address the chat box. First of all, Chris, of course I'm allowed to drink on the air. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
My boys at BMR right here. Yeah. So I was trying to cheers you guys the entire time. I'm absolutely allowed to drink on the air.
He tuned in late, Kyle.
We're doing it early because it's freezing ass cold out here. Let's talk about a pain team total for a second here. Bears, 16.5, -120, maybe. What do you think about that? So here's my problem with taking the Cardinals with these points. It's Kyler Murray's first game in 5 weeks? DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. You mentioned it. Cold weather, etc. How much rust is going to be there? It's a weird strategy for me. In my opinion, you hold him out another week. You already have a firm grasp on a playoff spot in the NFC. You have a fantastic record. Why rush him back in a cold weather game if he's iffy all week long? It's a little bit strange to me. I'm with you. I lean the Bears to cover here. And if you're looking for a pain team total, this is not a dominant Cardinals defense. Andy Dalton, early game at home, that's where he thrives. I think the Bears could get to 17 points. If I'm betting this one, I'm doing a little sprinkle on that pain team total. Nothing crazy, but I do think the Bears can get to 17 points in this one.
Yeah, me too. I felt a little bit better once I saw the rain, or would have felt better if there was no rain in the forecast, but it is. So I think that helps out. If you're going to ground and pound here with Andy Dalton and Montgomery, I think that makes a lot of sense here. I do have a prop tied into this one. But one of the props I took on Friday, which was a 5-1, which is James Conner, Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, and Madison to each score a touchdown or more at 5-1. So looking at this game here, James Conner, if he gets down the goal line, hopefully he can punch one in for me on that side. But not a great game to go over, but I did take the Bears. And it's a heavy, fade of the public in this one because who's going to look at Chicago and say, I want to take this? It's also a shame, Kyle, that we're not getting Allen Robinson back just yet. But again, the Bears are saying like, hey, we stink. And it's cold, and it's rainy, and it's grass. We're not going to risk his.
How many times have the Bears done that this year, right? Where they're by far the worst team, but they somehow cover in Soldier Field. It's just a little bit grimy. There's just something about it. And I don't trust the offense. You're getting 2 big stars back, but there's not a lot of continuity on the field. They've practiced on a limited basis all week. How much rust is there? I'm not ready to trust that till I see them in action. Give them another week. I would lean the Bears on the side. I'm not personally betting that. And like I said, a pain team total. It's not Andy Dalton in primetime. He's terrible in primetime. He's god-awful. He's burned me so many. Like I said, if Andy Dalton was on the side of the road with kids in the car in the freezing snow, I would not stop to pick him up because he's cost me so much money. Screw Andy Dalton, but I do think they can get to 17 points.
Yeah, Bears get the cover in this one. We'll see what happens in the game overall, see if they can hit that total. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, Tom Brady here, favored by double digits on the road, which has been a recipe for an absolute disaster on the season. But psychology of the gambler is saying, like, now, hold on. Atlanta is just hot garbage. Tampa Bay should roll them, as they should, Kyle. But this is the same MO. Like, Tampa Bay will go on the road. Tampa Bay is not losing this game. Tampa Bay will win. The only question is, Kyle, can they get over the 10.5? And based on what we've seen this year, I would lean. And this is the reason why I don't have very many lovely bets today, because I'm saying to myself, like, okay, Tampa Bay should really win and roll, but they don't cover anything on the road. And then I'm saying to myself, do I want Atlanta And they're like my pet peeve. I mean, they are just astoundingly bad. Cordell Patterson and nothing else on offense. Matt Ryan with a pop gun arm who's going to be under siege today. So I look towards that 51, and I actually think they can get over. I just don't trust Tampa Bay to cover a double-digit line. If there's going to be points, that means, Tom, put it this way. If Tampa Bay's up 35 points here, it's going to get over the total. I'm not worried about the 10 points. I'll just sit on that over 50.5 here at the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yeah, you're getting no value in this game, right? Tampa Bay has not proven they play down to their competition. We've seen that time and time again this year. That secondary is absolutely beatable no matter who's throwing the football. Sean Murphy Bunting, playoff hero, great corner. Sean Murphy Bunting is absolutely fucking terrible in the secondary. I'm sorry. If he's someone's running a route against him, they're wide open. Sean Murphy Bunting is not a good defensive back. Buccaneers team totals at 30.5. Are they going to need 31 points to beat Atlanta?
That's the tough part.
And you hit the nail on the head. Your offense is Cordell Patterson, a journeyman kick returner who, in most of the years of his career, was not even a number 4 wide receiver. And now all of a sudden he's your number 1 running back and wide receiver. No thank you on Atlanta. No thank you on Tampa Bay. Stay the hell away from this game. You're getting no value anywhere in this particular game. Just run away from it, sit back and enjoy it. I'm tired of holding the bag with Tom Brady and DFS. I think I'm fading that as well.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's been one of those big weeks, and Leonard Fournette scores 17 times.
Exactly.
Okay, enough with this stuff here. So let's get after it today in this next, because finally, we're going, by the way, in rotation, even though we like to keep it the same, even though the game is way out of it. The night game on Sunday Night Football, Denver and Kansas City, Bridgewater and Mahomes here. Take a look at this over-under, Kyle. We opened up at 50.5, and we're now sitting at 46.5. Now, there are some windy conditions, about 15 miles an hour, but that's not enough to say you can't throw or you can't pass or kick field goals here. 8.5 now coming down. We saw as high as the high watermark out early in the week at 10. And I have to say, it's hard to go against Kansas City. But then again, you look in the division here, Denver has a decent football team. If Teddy Bridgewater plays good football, they should be in this game. But again, it's one of those where it's just overvalued. If Kansas City was favored by 6.5, you know what? I'll take Kansas City. But again, another one of those teams favored by close to 10 points that is showing you that they can't cover this for the most part here. And they're really into playing good defense now, not being that electric on offense. It's just an odd world to live in. The brain in me says take the points in this one. But at the same time, Kansas City has beaten the hell out of Denver time and time again. Do you just fall into that trap? I thought it was their game again. Oh, no, Kansas City 31-17 final.
Yeah, and there's some problems for Denver as well. No Melvin Gordon, right? So it's going to be the Javonte Williams show, the young guy, and throw him in your DFS lineups if you want. I'm not sold on the Chiefs defense. I'm really not. We were talking pain here. The Broncos team total over 17.5 minus 115. That's still a bad Chiefs defense. But again, we've seen Teddy Bridgewater shrink from these moments. This is a big game for them. If he finds a way to win this game, what a massive win for that team this year. You can't trust the Chiefs to cover this big of a spread. They haven't done it over the last several seasons. We've seen it time and time again. They're overvalued. I know it sounds redundant and it sounds a bit boring, but for me, this is a live betting spot or a stay away spot. I just don't know how you trust the Chiefs to cover a double-digit spread. And I don't know how you trust the Broncos offense now without their number 1 running back, missing the couple options outside. It makes me nervous. I don't want to be holding the bag with Teddy Bridgewater when they have 6 points in the third quarter. So it's a stay away game for me. But if I was picking a side, I lean the Broncos to cover because the Chiefs haven't proven they can cover this type of spread.
Yeah, it should be interesting to watch that one play out here. Now, a game that's going to be a blowout in my mind, but a lot of prop bets can go down in this one. And I got to tell you, early the weekly specials come out, Colin, the FanDuel Sportsbook, sometimes earlier in the week, like that Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Yeah. And usually they stay up the entire week. So I'm like, okay, let me get a really good feel. I'll preview them. Wait till Friday and Saturday to try to finalize some of those just to see what some odds boosts come up to see if anything goes a little bit higher. Yeah. On Saturday, I was going, all right, I like what I see here. And my favorite prop bet of the week, which no longer is there, and rightfully so for FanDuel because they probably get absolutely pounded. And we're going to talk about Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor here, Indianapolis and Houston, 10-point line across there, 45.5 approximately as a total. Now, Kyle, this bet was Jonathan Taylor rushing and receiving combined at 100 yards or more and 1 touchdown to be scored by him. That was at a plus 160. They must have got hit so hard on that and just dropped it down because it was almost like Kyle, they were saying I expect him to get 100 yards and a touchdown. And then they're basically saying well, we'll throw, if he catches any passes, we'll just throw that and include it in here. And they took that down, which I was so disappointed because I really wanted to bet that at a plus 160 price, which isn't there. But having said that, Jonathan Taylor should absolutely run wild today. Now, if you're looking at like Carson Wentz props here, you probably don't need him in the second half because number one, Houston is abysmal in offense. So if they get like 15, 16 points, that would be a minor miracle. But at the same time, you don't need to extend anything. You know what you have to do, Kyle? Hike, hand off to Jonathan Taylor and walk out of here with an easy victory. I think Indianapolis hits their team total today too, which hovers around 28. They should be in the 30 range here, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, it's Colts or nothing, right? The Texans are garbage. They're hot garbage. You lost to the Jets last week. I tried to back you guys last week. I thought Tyrod Taylor could be better than Zach Wilson, but the coaching staff is completely inept. I mean, it might be one of the worst head coaching hires outside of Jim Tom Sula, the 1980 shot put champion who head coached the 49ers. He wasn't really a shot put champion, but he does look like that. The Texans, god awful. It's Colts or nothing. You're right. And it makes me nervous. I have Jonathan Taylor in DFS. I loaded up on him in the early contest. He's got to have a big game for him to hit value. But what have the Texans done to prove they can stop anyone? That front seven for the Colts is going to be active today. I can see some mistakes out of Tyrod Taylor. No David Johnson. They got rid of Phillip Lindsay. It's going to be if you're looking for value, maybe a Rex Burkhead 1-yard touchdown. Maybe they get one touchdown in this game. He's sitting really cheap on FanDuel and DraftKings. But I just can't back the Texans. It's Colts or nothing. I didn't bet it because, again, it's Carson Wentz. Do you want to be holding the bag with a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter and he does one of those weird left-handed shots?
Well, he's not even going to be throwing, though. But
he's
the best
weird.
part about this
Carson
is
Wentz
if
is
they're
weird.
up by 14 in the fourth quarter, they're only running the football anyway. And that's like having the best offense you can have with Jonathan. Like every time you hand it off to him, it could just go.
I just don't trust Carson Wentz. He does the dumbest shit I've seen outside of Josh Allen on that fourth quarter against the Texans a couple of years ago in the playoffs. When you watch Carson Wentz play, which we love his effort, we have before the year, we said the Colts were going to be someone to be reckoned with when Carson Wentz was healthy, and I think we've been proven to be right. But he still does those weird things late in games, and when the pressure's on third down, we're like, I don't know, man. This guy might turn the football over and blow my cover here. You need him to win by more than 10 points. I would lean the Colts. That's the side I would take. I think the Colts should hit their team total. But again, what kind of running mate are we getting? Houston is so bad. It's Colts or nothing for me, but a game I stayed away from.
Yeah, the best part about it, too, is because you say, like, oh, well, Tyrod Taylor, Kyle, they can put up something. Have you seen Tyrod Taylor since he's been back on the Houston Texans? They are a disgrace on offense. So it should be an easy walk-away winner here for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's get to the fun game of the day here at 1 o'clock. Gardner Minshew and Zach Wilson. How about that? Opened up at 6.5 here with a healthy Jalen Hurts. Wasn't so healthy this week. Now we're dipping down to a 5, Kyle. 44 across the board. I have to say now, it's very interesting with Minshew because you're not going to have that prolific running game, which is basically read option with Jalen Hurts, which is so hard to stop. So now Gardner Minshew, a little bit, it's still an athletic quarterback, but maybe more of the passing. And I put out a prop here a little bit earlier on a Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert yards prop parlay to the over that I think can hit here. But I think Minshew and the Eagles will move the football against a terrible Jets defense. Instead of looking at the side itself, Kyle, the over 44 is actually appealing to me because the reason why it's not so appealing with Jalen Hurts, even though outside of last week, the Eagles had a lot of success, in order to get points, Kyle, typically it's by the air. And if you have a quarterback that's willing to take some deep shots against a bad defense, you can move the football. I like the 44 over today.
It's really interesting for me as I'm looking at it. I'm taking a team total under. I'm going to take the Eagles under 25.5 at -130. Gardner Minshew sucks. He's awful. I mean, he's god-awful. You look at that receiving core. I like Devontae Smith. How much rapport does Gardner Minshew and Devontae Smith have? Not much. Now we're talking about Jalen Reagor, absolute bust. The guy's terrible. I believe you tweeted out last week, right? Jalen Reagor is a bust. He is.
Yeah, sure.
Quez Watkins is kind of fun. Nick Sirianni doesn't seem to have his head on straight. Some weeks you're like, okay, he finally figured it out. He's going to run the football. Then the next week they don't do it. I don't see a lot of points, and I don't like either team here. I don't know what the hell to do with this. Gardner Minshew versus Zach Wilson. It might be the worst quarterback matchup I've seen since, God, I don't know, Trent Dilfer versus, Steve Bono back in the early 2000s. These are two trash can quarterbacks. I'm going to say the Eagles team total under, and it's very rare that I do this. Maybe
even against the worst defense by a mile in the NFL.
Where is it coming from, though? I'm not sure.
Well, here's the only counterpoint here is when you have a backup quarterback in, he knows this is one shot to shine. That means Kyle, instead of that 7-step drop where it's like, okay, one-on-one coverage, let me dump it down to the tailback for 7 yards out of the backfield. That ball's going deep this week. And the same thing I think with Zach Wilson as well. So, hey, this is my football team. I won last week. And we're not talking about a 50. You're talking like these two teams approach 20 points. Like, you're going to get this over. That's the only reason why I'm countering your point on that one, because the Eagles are more explosive today than they were last week with Jalen Hurts, which is crazy to say, but it's true.
Yeah. Oh, God. I don't know. Gardner Minshew, you go back. I tried to back Gardner Minshew. I remember I drafted him in fantasy last year to be sort of my streaming quarterback when there was buys or injuries. He sucks. He's terrible. I mean, he's just god-awful. Doesn't make good decisions. Doesn't have a lot of arm talent. Isn't very accurate. And now you're taking a receiving core that's not very good. A running game that hasn't really proven itself. I don't know. This one seems like it's going to be ugly. I don't think it's great defense. I think it's bad offense. I think the Eagles score under 25.5 points. That's where I'm at on this. Could it get to the over? Sure. I mean, could it be 21, 24-21 and they hit the over? I suppose. But I just don't see the
but his stats aren't that. Like Gardner Minshew last 2 years, Kyle, 21 touchdowns, 6 picks, and then 16 touchdowns, 5 picks last year. And they only benched him because they wanted to tank at that point, though.
Yeah, well, he was still really bad. They weren't winning football games. That's why they had the number 1 overall pick, right? So he's a stat compiler, kind of like Russell Westbrook. Oh, well, he had 14 rebounds. Well, he had Steven Adams boxing him out the entire game. Steven Adams was terrified to grab his own rebound. That's why he had 14 rebounds. That's sort of how it feels for me with Gardner Minshew, like a Drew Brees light, just a stat compiler. But when it comes down to making plays that matter in the game, he doesn't make them. I don't think the Eagles score many points. I don't know what to do with the side here. I think either team could win. These are two bad teams today. But I do think the Eagles get under 25.5 points. I'll be shocked if they get to 28.
All right, let's keep moving here. Better game to talk about here, Kyle. Chargers and Bengals. My favorite game of the week for props by far. It's not even close. Over under 49.5. Slight favorite here to Cincinnati. 2 starting offensive linemen, though, out for the Cincinnati Bengals today, which I was not happy to see. But still, Joe Burrow, good quarterback, one of the hottest running backs in football in Mixon, and 3 really good wide receivers. Like, I'm loaded up on this one. I got Herbert, touchdown pass in each half, Kyle, plus 115. Joe Burrow, 1+ touchdown pass in each half, plus 140. I have the Bengals and the Chargers, a touchdown and a field goal each half for both teams, Kyle. So basically 10-10 at the half, 20-20 at the end of the game. They both scored a touchdown and a field goal. You cash that one in. That's 16-1. And I also took one of my favorite ones here, which I think makes the most sense out of all of them here. The Chargers and the Bengals, each team, Kyle, 1 touchdown pass and 1 rushing touchdown. I think that makes a lot of sense at plus 180. I love this game. And also, I'm going to say this. Even though Cincinnati now is down 2 offensive linemen, I just think the better performance is coming from the Bengals, as if they found something finally. That young team ready to win showed me a lot last week after that game where they waxed the Steelers. It wasn't a celebration like, beat down the Steelers again. It was, no, we're hungry. Like, we're ready for more. You give me the 2.5, you give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I can't pick a side here, so I don't trust the Bengals as favorites, and I never get the Bengals right. The Bengals are my bugaboo this year, if you will. I do think the Chargers are the better team, but can you trust a team that can't stop the run? You absolutely cannot. I mean, this team literally, I don't care who's playing offensive line for the Bengals. When you go back and rewatch a Charger games, I did this week. You and I both rewatch all the games, right, for a second time. You do it. There's no commentary. It's 1 hour. It's there's no commercials. You just watch each play. When I focused on the defensive line for the Chargers, they were consistently 4 yards off the football. They cannot get any pressure. They are soft up front, so there's no way in hell I can trust them to win a football game. Joe Mixon should have a massive game. But I do think the Chargers can score on this Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is overrated. Everyone's high on Chidobe Awuzie this year. Let me tell you something about Chidobe Awuzie. I've been attacking Chidobe Awuzie on DFS for 3 straight years. He's having one decent year where they're not getting attacked a whole lot and they think he's great. No, they are not. The Chargers should be able to move the ball. I don't know who's going to win this game. I would never bet a side on this one, but I do think the Chargers get over 23.5 points. It's at minus 115 at BetMGM. I put it up on Twitter. Bengals can win, Chargers can win, but one thing I do know, if the Chargers can't get 24 points today, a decent weather, high 30s, low 40s, which is fine for football weather with your pads on, they should be able to get to 24 points against what I think is a weak Bengals defense.
Yeah, I got 4. That's my favorite game. Like, that was the one I singled out where I had the game specials on. I went right to that game and picked 4 of them out. I love that game. We should get some points and have some fun here. Let's quickly get through this next game here. Giants and the Miami Dolphins. It's ballooned from 2.5 as a favorite open the week from the Dolphins, now up to 6.5. The Miami Dolphins are going to win this game. The Giants are just hell on wheels off. First of all, I don't have any idea how they beat the Eagles. They were putrid on offense. Now Mike Lennon's at quarterback. You're still unhealthy across the board at this point. The Dolphins playing really good football last month and a half. I think they can win this game. I don't like the line at 6 or 6.5, Kyle, but I'm not back. This isn't one of those games where I say, oh, I don't like the points there. I'm going to take the Giants because I can keep. No, I don't want anything to do with the Giants. Give me the Dolphins minus the 6.
You're going to take Mike Glennon and half a Saquon
No,
Barkley and Joe
not.
Judge on the road?
No shot.
No, thank you. I mean, it would be the Dolphins for me. The Dolphins defense has been playing better, and Tua has shown some signs. They should get Devontae Parker back today. I believe he is back today off of thing. We'll see how much he plays. I'll make this short and sweet. Can't back the Giants. No way, shape, or form if you're betting it. It's the Dolphins. But again, another stay the hell away. There's no value here with the Dolphins minus a touchdown.
All right, Washington and Las Vegas here. Taylor Heineke going on the road after a couple wins here by Washington. You know what? I'm taking them again this week, Kyle. I like them plus 1.5. I think they beat the Raiders outright. Reason being, Jacobs is going to play today. It looks like he's a little bit hobbled. Deshaun Jackson is going to play today, Kyle. A little bit hobbled. Darren Waller, one of the best tight ends in football, he will not play today. I just like Washington getting healthy. I think they go on the road and they can win it. Also, I'll take the over 48 points in this game in the Dome. Let's get after it. What do you got?
Yeah. Two bad defenses. I completely agree with that over. Now, the Darren Waller thing stinks. The Raiders off like, oh, Deshaun Jackson's healthy. Who the hell cares? He's going to run one streak pattern, probably pull his hamstring, and he'll be out of the game. Or he'll drop the ball, commit a stupid penalty, and cost his team 15. Deshaun Jackson isn't useful in any way, shape, or form. I'm not exactly sure why he's still in the NFL. I'm with you. I think of all the underdogs today, Washington is one of the more live dogs. I think they can get it done today. I think Taylor Heineke personally, and this is going to piss some of you Raider fans off, and I don't give a damn, is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr stinks. I think this Raiders organization stinks. Going through too much. No Darren Waller, no Raiders for me. Give me Washington.
All right, let's get to Baltimore and Pittsburgh here. 4 points across -4 is a favorite on the road for Baltimore. Early in the week, Kyle, trying to line up a way to possibly take the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. And it's almost like you try to outthink yourself, right? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers actually should be able to do a little bit of damage. Now, it's a 425 game. The inactive report is going to be interesting here because if you saw the reports coming out of Baltimore, Kyle, damn near everybody on their defense is hurt. Now, you say also, what do I like to tell you? Hey, just because, the defense is down, you still need an offense with a Ben Roethlisberger that's able to throw the football downfield. The 4 is such a square play, but at the same time, how do you go? Like, Baltimore played their worst game of the season last week, and they still won and covered against Cleveland, right?
Yeah, and again, how are you supposed to trust Pittsburgh, right? We saw that putrid effort by their offense. Now all week, it's secret rumors that it's Big Ben's last year. I think we all know that. He sucks. He shouldn't have been back this year. He knew that. Of course he's not going to be back next year. He has no business being in the league anymore. His counterparts, Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning, drafted in the same class, left with a little bit of dignity. This is embarrassing for Ben Roethlisberger. You cannot back this team right now. I tried to last week. I thought they'd hit their team total. They were absolutely putrid. I looked at the Ravens team total over 23.5 -125. I do think they can run the ball in this defense. TJ Watt will be back for Pittsburgh, so I stayed away. But right now, it is square, but it's Baltimore or nothing. I know Baltimore hasn't been overly impressive, but my God, Pittsburgh, when they're bad, they're real bad. And I think this is another week where they're bad. I like the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are the better team here. It's one of those where it's like, hey, man, Pittsburgh was so lackluster last week. You don't just rally the troops and just get back after it after a shellacking like that. And also, Baltimore's really had Pittsburgh's number here, so we'll see how that continues. Terrible game here coming up. Kyle, Jacksonville, and Los Angeles Rams. The Rams should just do whatever they want. The Jacksonville has a horrendous offense, which will really probably get stoned by that Rams defense that's probably going to be angry this week. You do have some guys that are banged up and injured for the Rams, but I don't think that matters. But then I'm not interested in a 14-point line and a 48 because there's zero juice in this game for me. The Rams will win. I'm not comfortable laying 2 touchdowns. There's no way that I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to take the the sharp side here in Jacksonville. Jacksonville will struggle to get 16 or 17 points. I can't back them here. Any shape whatsoever.
I apologize. I forgot to plug in my headset here. Let me do that so it doesn't die on us, so we can do the show. All right. Yeah, you can't back the Rams by 2 touchdowns. You simply can't. So I'm like, why didn't I plug it in? Okay. Can't back the Rams by 2 touchdowns. They play down to their competition. Matthew Stafford banged up. They lost 3 straight. Jacksonville does these weird Jekyll and Hyde things. We saw that with Buffalo a couple weeks ago. Again, it's another stay away spot. I'll say the under 48. I don't think the Rams need to score a lot to beat Jacksonville. I don't see the Jacksonville offense moving the ball all that much on this Rams defense. Under 48, let me address the chat box. Kelly in Vegas on Steelers today as best bet. If the Pittsburgh Steelers are your best bet any week, you need to go to bed, re-wake up, restart your day. That's like saying, hey, I have to go to the bathroom after you've already gotten in the shower. The day has started wrong. The Steelers should never, ever be your best bet. And this one, It would be Rams or nothing, but I'm not going to touch them by 2 touchdowns. I'll take the under 48 in this game.
All right. How about the last game of the day? We're going to talk about 425 here, San Francisco and Seattle. Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson, no Debo Samuel here. Russell Wilson at home. Now, most people, I'm taking a public fade in this game. The two games that I like the most here from a side perspective, the Chicago Bears going up against Arizona and the Seattle Seahawks here going up against the 49ers. Should the 49ers win this game? Absolutely they should. But you're taking a massive weapon out of there, and you're going to lean more on Jimmy Garoppolo and also more on the running game, which I think slows the game down here, Kyle. I see the 45. I like the under, and I like the Seattle Seahawks in this game. Talk to me.
Hey, my Niners are going to beat them by more than 3 points. The Seahawks can't stop the run. They're one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. Of course, Debo Samuel's been a big part of that running game, but we saw that even last year. They will replace him with Brandon Ayuk, who's not the same talent, but he can do some of the similar things. We'll see more George Kittle in this game. We know Kyle Shanahan will be able to dial up the run game against this bad rushing defense. And you rewatch those Seahawks. My goodness, that offense is absolutely putrid. Russell Wilson looks slow. Those receivers do not look engaged. This entire team looks lost. I think the 49ers have something to play for. The Seahawks don't. I don't trust the mentality of the Seahawks. I think the Niners get it done. It's my favorite side of the day. I put it on Twitter. I like the 49ers -3.
All right, head to head in that one. So that'll do it for the card overall today. Some really good matchups on the card, but team totals that I was not in love with. So I am going to take those Flyers there on the two home teams here, the home dogs, which would be the Seattle Seahawks and also the Chicago Bears. I do think you get some points there in Cincinnati. So some of these games make sense, but there's much better cards out here than today presented. So typically I love to come with some fire on a team total, but every single one of them, it's almost like one of the sharpest, squarest games or weekly cards, right? You want to take Minnesota overinflated. You want to take Arizona overinflated. You want to take the Buccaneers overinflated. The Colts overinflated. So maybe next week we'll get some better things. I'm just going to fade the public on those two games and hoping for a 2-0 here, Kyle. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that Vikings team total over 26.5. I like that Chargers team total over 23.5. And, it might seem like a homer pick, but I just have seen nothing out of the Seahawks. I think they get it done. The Niners get it done -3.
Yeah, one of those I also have Jimmy G to have one or more touchdown passes in each half. That's a +220. And also Russell Wilson to do the same thing at a +220. And the design of these bets, which have a lot of them, is just need one quarterback in each one of these games to throw a touchdown the first and the second, and you're pulling down plus money left and right. So I am loaded up on prop bets today, but that'll do it for the show here. Nice, tidy half hour. Get you ready for kickoff. Also to keep in mind here, college football playoff is set. Bama 1, Michigan 2. Georgia 3, Cincinnati 4. Everybody and their grandmother knew that the SEC controls this country, and there was no way they were going to line up Alabama number 2, Georgia number 3. So they cheated again, and Alabama is going to walk into the national championship game as they typically do. They don't need help, but they're giving them help here. Michigan, who actually should be the number 1 team, is going to have to fight for their life to get past Georgia because that's almost like the same team playing each other. We'll see what happens here, but everything's underway. Tomorrow, keep in mind, we are going to be on the opening line show on a Monday right here at Bookmakers Review. So make sure you join both myself and Kyle here. We'll talk a little college football and also preview the Week 14 NFL card and Monday Night Football tomorrow. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bell on the YouTube channel, and also for Twitter at BMR Reviews. Give us a follow there. That'll do it. I'm Donnie RightSide. He's Kyle Purviance. And as always, with your wagers, good luck. Take care.